Joining me today is our Intern Tones. You may be wondering why there's only two of the Bearded Council in today, and that's because this is soccer talk. And when it's soccer talk, Justin decides that it's his week off. So um, enjoy your week off, Justin. You do not get paid for this week, so just keep that in mind. Um, Tony, we're finally doing it.
We're doing it, dude. A lot of talk. And let's break some hearts tonight, Matt.
Yeah, let's
I
do
think
it.
we're gonna offend some soccer, some soccer fans. We're gonna offend some football fans. But have you heard why?
I have not heard why. Why?
The MLS, the Major League Soccer, is quietly becoming one of the most entertaining US leagues for sports.
Ooh. Did you see the numbers on that? They surpassed 2 billion in revenue in uh 2023. And you NFL fans are probably like, "Oh, that's cute. We did that in like 1974." That's cool, but like MLS has like soccer has never been like the premier sport here in the United States. And you know what I like about the direction we're headed, and I don't think this was in the script. I immediately went off book. um, so you may see this patch right here. That's the USL. That's where FC Cincinnati got their start. USL is toying with the idea of adding a second league, which would put us kind of in the Bundesliga stratosphere of multiple leagues. So I think that's really cool. When all you FIFA fans out there, the FIFA video game or FC, whatever year you like, um, when you like go over relegations and transfer window and all that, to me as a football fan, a baseball fan, not really watching soccer, that's the most entertaining part of the sport to me. And we have a few examples of that throughout the uh, the world. So we're gonna take a zoomed out look to start.
Yep. And we're gonna tell you why, as a non-soccer fan, you should care.
So just hold on. Listening to myself on YouTube while doing a live show is not fun. Um, the biggest news to come out of soccer in I don't even know how long. Um, how do you say this name? How do you say it again?
Macclesfield.
Macclesfield and Crystal Palace faced each other in the FA Cup. Tony, would you like to break down what the FA Cup is for us peasants?
Yep. Hold on just a second. So, in Europe, and unlike other American sports, between seasons or within seasons, they have different tournaments in cup play. Um, and so the FA Cup, it's the oldest. It's a knockout tournament, in where all the way from the top of the English Premier League, the EPL, all the way down to the amateur levels, they can play. And so it's an interesting tournament where you can have, a very, very different caliber of team and talent, and yet still compete with, some of the biggest names in the sport. And so, over over the weekend, Macclesfield, they're in the sixth division. So just looking at the numbers, right? This is a real David and Goliath situation, but just to put it into perspective, Macclesfield operating expense is 2.4 million. Crystal Palace's is 211 million. That is that's David and Goliath, That's like let's see. In NFL terms, this is
It's like the Birmingham Stallions beating the '07 Patriots.
yes, exactly. It's
Well, I guess maybe that's one of the best teams ever. Crystal Palace isn't one of the best teams ever right now. So
No.
maybe like the Cowboys when they were consistently making the playoffs, but not winning Super Bowls.
It it's just a scenario where it would likely never happen, right? And so, they play for 90 minutes, and in this match, one of the final score is 2-1. Is like in the 50 or 45th minute, and there's a guy who had a bandage on his head, and he heads the ball into the goal. All the fans are freaking out. Real loyal supporters. And then within in the second half, they score again, so it's 2-0. Crystal Palace tries some redemption moves, but it was too little, too late in the 89th minute in the death. Maybe they could have come back, but they just didn't, and so they get bounced out of the tournament by the team, sixth
Sixth
division.
tier. What are they
Yeah,
like 342nd or something like that ranked in England?
yeah,
Also, did you hear how their owner bought the team?
I did. He bought it
four
as a
day
gag.
4 day drinking binge and just decided while blackout drunk to buy this team. Their best player died in a car accident tragically 2 days before this match. And then all the guys who are just plumbers and like college custodians just go out on the
PE
field.
teachers. Yeah,
Yeah, they just go out and like just beat one of the best teams in Europe.
they're perennially at least in the middle of the pack.
Yeah.
And how with relegation, you have to be decent at least to be among that group. So it's I don't know. I don't know if they just kept their eye. They just were going to mail it in, but that's what the sport is about. And then you hear the coach and saying, "Oh, it's about the effort, and we got to learn and respond." Dude, you're cooked. Crystal Palace, you just lost to Macclesfield.
Yeah. I mean, hats off to Macclesfield. They play Brenton. Something I saw it on like briefly on the internet earlier. Um, moving on to another team that has gotten laughed at um, quite often by some of the larger teams. Arsenal. Now, Arsenal's a team that many of you have probably heard of. And today we're going to try to relate football to soccer. So it'll be a nice transition for you. The league starts up in about a month. A lot of storylines, plenty of exhibition games over the next few weeks to watch. Just trying to get you geared up. But these are some of the storylines that you can see out of soccer. Arsenal has won the Premier League 15 times or something like that. Um, they've won FA Cup a couple times. Champions League or the Euro Trophy, as it used to be called, they have never won that ever. And being a one of the world's biggest teams to never win the Champions Cup or Champions League is laughable. Everybody in England kind of laughs at them when it comes Champions League time because it's like, oh, they're going to be out. So you have like all of Europe against Arsenal when it comes Champions League time, and it's really funny to watch the hate online.
And you know, I don't know that we have a bunch of Euro listeners, but man, they take it to another level. We're talking. Think of a Philly fan, and then crank it up to 10, because they have zero tolerance. I mean, let's just use for example, and I know this is in Scotland. Wilfred Nancy, he was one of the best coaches in the MLS. He was the Columbus Crew, coach for a couple years. He ran a really tight ship. He goes over to the one of the two biggest teams in Scotland, and they fire him within 33 days. They do not play around. They don't mess about. They'll call you a wanker if you suck.
And for you NFL fans, it's not like the Bengals keeping Zach Taylor for till the end of time.
It's the opposite of that.
The exact opposite. It's
Yeah.
like if he had lost his first game and then they just fired him. That's what the equivalent would be. But with with Arsenal, it's really funny because like when it comes Premier League time, you know they're gonna be top 7 most years. When it comes Champions League time, bottom 7. Like they just there's a thing within Champions League that you add a star to your logo every time you win one. And there's teams with 15 stars. There's teams with 7 stars. Arsenal does not have a star. They do have a cannon. It doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things, but
They are at the top of the table at the moment, but we know how much that can change over the court. Although they're 6 points ahead of Man City. So, you know, just looking at the Premier League this year, they might be the ones to beat. I think they're going to be a problem. And if they have a really strong spring into summer, they might just run away with it.
speaking of teams that kind of just run away with things, PSG, Paris Saint Germain. So this is our third storyline. So that has happened in the past few months. PSG and Paris FC are in the same city, Paris, obviously. Their stadiums are what, 10 feet from each other?
Yeah.
They're like the second closest stadiums in the world to each other. And Paris FC had never beaten Paris Saint Germain until last year. And it would be like if the Clippers just or the Lakers just always beating the Clippers. And then the Clippers just one year was like, yeah, we got this.
Yeah, and then they end up walking in the same direction back to the back to the spot,
So this is one of those where it's like if the Buffalo Bills played against the Buffalo Bulls, but for some reason they're in the same league. Like, and then the Bulls winning against the Bills. So like you have random things happening. You have biggest teams in the world losing to small teams. You have one of the biggest teams in the world getting shit on online by everybody when it comes to the Super Bowl of European soccer. You have another smaller but not super small team beating the biggest team, I would argue, in the world.
The oil money
Yeah.
PSG too.
Yeah. And then you have the MLS. And the MLS has smaller storylines. The league is only 30 years old. Just crossed 2 billion in revenue a couple years ago. It's like a baby league. Still. It's still
compared to Europe, compared to
Notts County, I think, was founded in 1879 or something like that, and they're the oldest soccer team in the world. So you have leagues going back that far and history going back that far to where some teams don't know that they hate each other. Notts County and Nottingham Forest actually do hate each other, and I bet there's a ton of fans that don't know it. But MLS, we have Messi, the best player in the world. Inter Miami gets handed a championship repeatedly. But it is a league that steals the stars of yesteryear.
It's the retirement league.
Pretty much. But I
And
mean,
that's
I would take the retirement league over like Australia. Although, did you see like the fights going on in Australia?
no.
It look up Australian soccer. It's pretty funny. Um, there was also an Iranian dude who got like banned for life from soccer for like cleating someone in the chest on a tackle. Uh, it was brutal, but it was a little funny. Dude just kind of bounced back up. Like what? Um, but MLS is one of those leagues where the storylines are there. You just have to pay attention. And if you're
and
not paying attention, you're not going to know what's going on other than, hey, Messi scored a goal last week.
and there's so much more to the league than just Messi. And historically, it has been the retirement league. David Beckham bopped over. Um, Zatlin, he was here, and they go to big markets. Um, but there is a lot of, there's a lot of parity in the league. FC Cincinnati, considered a small market. They've only been a club for 10 years, and part of that was in the USL. So, you know, there is room for the little guys to win in this league, and that's what makes it so special. Because it's not about, with the exception being Miami, who kind of rewrote the rules on how players can get paid. But for the most part, you can punish a team that's not playing well, and that has some impact on your season. And so, I think a lot of a lot of times, football fans are like, "Oh, scores, it's 40 to 27." Yeah, but like if you scaled back, if you just made that, uh-oh, going blurry.
Going blind.
Going out, guys. See ya. Like if you look at a soccer game, it's continuous movement. The scores may be lower, but they're built up. You can watch it play out. It's kind of like watching jazz or listening to jazz, because or watching it if that's your thing. I don't know. But it's not about like the games are over, but you can have a Macclesfield beating a Crystal Palace, not in MLS because that's in America. But you can have that situation, and you'll just, what they call, park the bus, and everybody sets back and just defends the goal. And a lot of time wasting, and a lot of kind of kicking the ball around so that people can't get to it. And so you know it's interesting to see the nuances in the game. And one of the other big pieces, there ain't no damn commercials.
Yeah, that's the best part. I mean, you have 90 minutes, and really the only commercials are to get the guys at halftime to shut up. Like, I don't know. I feel like paying a little bit extra for Apple TV's access to MLS is worth it if it means no commercials at all.
It was interesting. I was talking to my friend Austin about this, and how American would it be to start doing like picture in picture, where they just, the game's still going on, they're still televising it technically, but they're gonna make it really small in the
Like
top corner.
F1, F1,
Probably, yeah.
F1 did that a few years ago. I don't know what's going on with your camera today, but you're really zoomed in and very blurry. I feel like my eyesight is not great. One thing about MLS though is there are like a lot of rivalries. And, like I think the biggest rivalry, at least at least to me, is the hell is real rivalry. Um, Columbus Crew versus FC Cincinnati, and like people throughout the country, and maybe like that one fan that watches MLS may say like LAFC versus LA Galaxy,
El
but like
Trafico.
yeah, but like I mean, you get a Midwestern rock fight with the Crew and FC Cincinnati, ain't nothing better. It's like watching old school Iowa football versus Nebraska Cornhuskers. Like
it's exactly that. It's all of the feelings, it's all the emotion, and that's you do kind of get that in the NFL here and there, but it's not to that extent.
Not anymore, at least. But like you had the Browns packing up and moving to go to Baltimore, and then for a very long time, it was like if you wore a Browns jersey in Baltimore and vice versa, a Baltimore jersey in Cleveland, like you were getting mugged. Like now with the age of cameras and everything, like people are a little bit more respectful. They may scream at you or whatever. But when it comes to soccer, if you go around the world and you're wearing a different jersey, you're getting like spit on or mugged or stoned or whatever. Um, what I
Yeah.
do also like about MLS is even if you tie, you get points. So for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, you get 3 points for every win towards the standings. You get 1 point for every draw, and you get 0 points for every loss. So even if you tie, you're still getting points that could still make a huge difference later. So as boring as that game was at that time, like 2 months later, that could have a huge impact on the season.
Yeah. That 0-0 game, you get a point, no one loses. That at the end of the season, you cash all that in and you're sitting pretty.
Yeah.
And that's so even within the game, it's not win and lose. It's okay, I'm down, can I tie it up? Can I get a point that way? And then, oh, we're tied up. Can we push it and take all 3 points, steal the points? Is what they call that. So it's it's another level of kind of excitement within the game, and that's what we're hoping to show you here.
And
Is yeah,
and one of the most entertaining parts of the whole thing is the rotation of players. Like it's not like Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins play every play. You may get that from some guys, but like even Messi gets subbed out or sits a match or whatever. Like you have guys sitting out, and it's not like sitting out in the NBA. Like in MLS, when you're sitting out, it's usually for strategy. You're about to sell the guy who is in. You're and you're just giving looks to kind of get more money out of whoever's trying to buy him, or like you're just trying to get some rest before a big match in like next week. So like there's a lot to it, and if you sit back and just listen to what we have to say, I think you can enjoy it.
absolutely. I think maybe we take a deeper dive on the MLS in particular and kind of do some pros or not pros and cons, but some comparisons. So I'll
Mm-hmm.
start. You know, the MLS is not Europe, so it's not going to be the fattest wallet wins. It can be, but there's also a lot of evidence to support that it doesn't happen that way. Messi's been with the MLS. I think this is his third year. He's going into his fourth, and they won. They've gotten a couple pieces of hardware, different tournaments, and they ended up winning the MLS Cup this year. They took it all the way. So, there is a little bit of that, but it's more like the NFL in that, you know, you can compete and there's parity, in that, the overall goal is to put out a good product to watch.
Yeah, and I like how MLS is setting itself up. There, like USL has really no affiliation with MLS.
But
Um,
they should.
they should,
And
or
Updog wants it to happen.
Updog Sports League. Uh, um, I do think that if they don't want to be under one roof, that's fine. Just have a contract together.
Yeah.
To where like if Austin FC is crappy and in and they dropped down to USL 1, and then like the next year, Dayton. I don't think Dayton actually has a soccer team, but like because it's a small city, like a Dayton FC, if they were to get one, or an FC Dayton, goes through USL 1, ends up in MLS. I think that would be a great storyline for the league. So I think relegation really needs to happen to really scare some of these teams and to turn in some more money to get better players and try to compete at least enough to not be relegated.
Yeah, and as the casual viewer, like that's stakes, right? That's
Hmm.
stakes. That's a reason to watch. And I think the there's compared to Europe, America's massive. And so there is the geographical component, but also it could just be a really really big league,
Yeah.
and have multi levels of the USL, have that feed into the MLS. I must treat the MLS as kind of that premier league, the League One, and have a relegation system. I think where that will go wrong though is the MLS owners won't want to lose money if they get relegated, so they
Yep.
can't just mail it in. Teams that and I'm not sure how Europe does this because they've been running forever, but the MLS is still expanding. Their most recent team being San Diego that they've added, and so what tends to happen is when the team, a lot of times they'll have USL roots, they go to the expansion, so they cut a lot of their players, but even still they don't end up doing very well through that first season. FC Cincinnati, the first 3 years that they were in the MLS, they got the wooden spoon, and that's what you get for last place. And that's that how salty is that, dude? You get a damn cooking utensil. That's how bad you were. And so I don't know. I think
I
good.
I actually have a fix, and I don't know if people would really like it. But we do it by region. Have a league by region. That way, those teams can stay in that region and play most of their games there.
Mm.
New England through New York, you could have you can have Albany, you can have Syracuse, you can have small towns, Boston, Maine. You can have so many teams up there. West would be a little bit harder because you would have to have a bigger area for that. But if you have, I don't know, a multi league in each region, 3 or 4 different regions within the United States, be super leagues of the area, I think that would make it better because then if it's like a Great Lakes, for example, there's so many states that you can add to the Great Lakes that, like, if you're Cleveland and they have a soccer team and you're like, I think the Great Lakes is better than the Pacific Northwest. I think the Pacific Northwest is better than the Alaskan League. Stuff like that. You can have interleague rivalries, or like schedule,
Conferences basically.
yeah, conferences, but I wouldn't necessarily put it under one umbrella. Have it be like Europe. Europe has all those different leagues. They can play each other and then still have enough cities to relegate people. They're not driving so far. Um, I think because of the massive, um, like the massive landscape here in the United States, you to make it work, you may have to split it into 4 or 5 super leagues and just have like super small towns also have soccer teams and have like 2,000 people show up, or like the town owns the team like that. I think that would be fantastic. It would also keep the town alive too because there would be something to bring people there.
Everybody likes an underdog story, and you see these USL teams, and I've got to see it firsthand. You know, near us, within an hour and a half, there's Indiana, the Indy 11, and then there's Louisville, and Lexington has a team too. And so, Louisville and Lexington, I've been down there. These are state of the art stadiums, dude. So for me, the USL is like they're creeping up. They're
Hmm.
trying to be competitive with the MLS, and that's only going to breed a better product for
Yeah,
people to watch
I would
because there's
agree.
there's going to be more talent move in between. There's going to be more storylines, and there's going to be more money to be made too. And with the World Cup being this year, this soccer has a really great chance to kind of take another step forward in occupying the hearts and minds of the American people.
And Tony, do you want to tell people some of the changes of MLS this season?
Yeah, so they're kind of going towards being a selling league, right? And this has been true, and kind of you can observe it if you follow a team. Any good talent, if they're good enough, they're not going to be there long because the PSGs, the uh, La Liga, Liga MX, these other countries and leagues are like, hey, that's really good talent. We want that, and so there is an influx of money, and the more you develop, kind of that a feeder system, the more revenue you're going to make. Probably, Christian Pulisic, he's one of the most, I would say he's a very recognizable person.
Mm.
I would even expect maybe the layperson to know who he was. They call him Captain America. He's on the U.S. men's national team.
Allegedly dating Sydney Sweeney.
What a guy, dude.
Yeah.
Like what a guy.
Yeah.
When players like that, when there's more and more of them that start coming out of this league, I think we're going to be entering a very exciting time for soccer.
Yeah, I mean, like if you look around, uh, ask anybody, "Hey, did you ever play soccer?" What do you think the answer is going to be?
If they
Yeah,
grew
when I
up
was like
in
4 or 5.
Yeah. Yeah, if they grew up in, Ohio, they did.
Yeah.
In the Lakota area, everybody played soccer, and I don't know why, but they did.
But I mean, like, there's so much potential for soccer, and like, I think because of the stigma behind football right now, of it being a violent sport, it's lessened the past couple years, I guess, but it still has that stigma of a violent sport, and like you hear a lot of former NFL players saying, "I don't want my kids touching that sport," and I think you're like a lot of people don't want that for their kids anymore. It used to be like, hey, rub some dirt in it. Oh, you can't see straight. That's fine. You'll just have that for 55 years of your life. Um, I think a lot of that has gone away. And with how we've been thinking, it's actually been pushing more and more people into soccer because baseball's a hard league to get into with all the politics and how much it costs. You know how much it costs to get into soccer other than league dues? You just have to have a ball, cleats, and shin guards.
Yeah, I would say that, and this is in conversations I've had with, players in the USL, and then, Charlie is his name. He was with, oh shoot, it might have been Arsenal. He might have been with Arsenal's development program. And the difference between Europe and here is if your kid is good, the team will buy them
Yeah.
essentially. We're not talking like they get the whole damn kid, but
Yeah.
they're basically
They buy
paying
the
them.
rights. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, here it's, we got to get a coach. And while that does create interest in itself as, a different revenue stream for people, we do need to see a shift into making it more accessible for, you know,
15, 16, 17 year olds who
who want to
like,
take it to the next level.
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep.
And like that's how it is in Europe. You have a bunch of 15-year-olds who are either going to classes or they're like homeschooled, or in private school or online or however they do it. There's many ways to do it nowadays, but back in the day, it used to just be homeschooled, and they would spend their livelihood playing soccer. All these U18 academies, like popping up throughout the United States. FC Cincinnati just signed a bunch of coaches to their development program. So I think if each team had maybe if the league took a small step back in terms of pushing some of that those profits down to the lower level and getting some of these kids into the soccer programs, I think that it can be like very profitable in the long run.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's a reason why it's one of the most popular sports in the world, you know.
It's one of the purest sports because if you take take the politics out, take the fandom out of it for a second, when you're just playing, it's pure. It's a sport that's been around forever. Well, we may have lost Tony. Oh no. I'm doing soccer talk by myself, guys. This isn't great. But I don't remember what I was talking about either. Completely distracted. ADHD. Um, but I mean, it's a pure sport. Yeah, you have the guys flopping. Yeah, you have um, like the sissies, as us Americans would say. But overall, it's just soccer. It's just a sport, and like it's fun to do. Once people stop playing sports in their youth and they get into being old farts like us, um, like you end up there. He is.
Like I never left.
I was just talking about how like it's a pure sport and like yeah, you have the floppers and stuff, but like it's a sport that's been refined over generations and like it needs little to no rule changes from a sport
Yeah.
context.
Yeah, there isn't the I mean, there's always the debate about offsides. But the technology's kind of catching up with that.
Yeah. And like the MLS has or maybe it wasn't MLS, I think it was FIFA stated that they may start allowing body parts to be past the defenders as long as the full body's not passed. I don't like that. I know it's such a close call when it's like a
Yeah.
fingernail, you know,
Yeah. Yeah,
but
the weenus of your elbow.
but like I think that like you shouldn't allow more people past, and I understand why FIFA wants to do it. They just want more goals, which ultimately would allow for more like excitement for a lot of like just couch fans. I would
Yeah.
say less than casual fans. So yeah, it would grow the sport even more and get maybe more Americans to watch. But at the same time, it's like you can't pass the offensive line, you know, when the ball's snapped.
Yeah. It's in offsides is one of those rules. It's like it's hard to know what it actually is. It's kind of like pass interference. That's the only thing that I can equate it to is like, you know, there's
Or like
some
2013, what is a catch? Up. Well, there we go. NFL's trying to shut us down. Oh, he's back.
dude, I don't know what's happening. Sorry.
You and Justin have the worst internet. At least you're like somewhat capable in being able to jump back in,
Oh yeah, he'd be down. He'd be down for the
down
count.
and out.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Usually my internet's very strong. What were you talking about?
We were wrapping up. It's a pure sport, and we don't know what offsides is.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there are some other updates. These are more kind of logistical pieces. So the MLS is moving to the European schedule. This is good news. This will be
Very
a
good
good.
news.
This is a great way to exchange talent. You're going to get a better product out of both. How many deals break down because the MLS is in the summer window, and the other leagues are in their off season. So them moving to the schedule is going to be really it's going to be really big.
Yeah.
So the 2026 season, it's going to be a full season, and that starts in February, believe it or not. And I think I will be in person on February 28th at the first FC Cincinnati match, and it'll be cold. But I got I got a nice little SC Cincinnati bomber jacket. I'm really excited about it. Might wear it sometime.
if if you've never been to an MLS match or a USL match, as Tony said earlier, these stadiums are starting to become state of the art. Like Lexington, always been about Kentucky basketball and maybe a little bit of bourbon, but that's really the other side of the state, and horse racing. And then now they put a really nice soccer stadium,
Modern.
modern stadium in their city.
It holds, I don't know, 20, usually 20 to 30,000, mostly on the 20 side. Like that's a good group of
Hmm.
people. That in itself should encourage cities to you know, want to have a team because how many concerts are at TQL?
All the time. And then like there's podcasts that are trying to put together college football bowl games in soccer stadiums.
Some say.
But but I mean, what would be cool in my opinion is if they do like a five separate leagues in the United States, and then like maybe some cities have two soccer teams pop up, and then like let's say Cincinnati is in a Great Lakes or like whatever Southern Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee, and all that would be called. Um, they have TQL downtown, and then they put like I don't know, like uh another like I don't know what it would be called, but like another Cincinnati soccer team up in like the suburbs. I think that would give fans an option for teams to root for because like people in the suburbs here in Cincinnati would be like, I don't know if I want to go downtown every week, you know?
Yeah.
So then, like, even FC Cincinnati fans, if there would be a rivalry, obviously, among the teams because it would split the city, but like, then you would have support from like everywhere still.
Yeah. And the only prerequisite to all of that is the American people fall in love with the great sport.
Yeah. So
That's all that's required.
you
Even
may
you.
you may love your footballs, you may love your basketballs, you may or may not like Rob Manfred in MLB, but one thing is for sure: MLS is going to continue to grow, and if you don't hop on now, you're going to miss out on a bunch of storylines, and it's about to be lit, as the kids of yesteryears
Yeah.
used to say.
Yeah, they don't say that anymore. We're dating ourselves, sir.
That was even after us. That's the
I
sad thing.
know. I know. It lived and died in multiple times over.
The only thing that I would say for MLS is they need to market their storylines better.
Yeah, the MLS in even doing research for the podcast, it's hard to find like legit stories.
Hmm.
The clubs, and I don't know if it's the player union or what, but there more media access would certainly drive it would certainly drive more interest, and even I think I mentioned it on the pod earlier this year. The MLS invited all of the fans and season ticket holders to partake in a survey about how the season went, the facility, the club in particular. It was pretty in depth. I dabble with surveys here and there, but
Yeah.
I was pretty impressed, and so I think there was a lot of good takeaways from that. I think that would be a whole separate episode, or at least a series of shorts. So that may be something I look into. But that I think that's going to do a lot for the sport too.
Yeah. Um, because the season is a month away, what we will ask you to do is prepare. If you don't understand the sport, a great way to understand it is being frustrated for a month in the game of FIFA or FC 24, 25, 26. If you have an Xbox, it's free on Game Pass. I'm sure there's cheap versions of older games out there that you can get. Steam, you can get on Steam for free and then play on your computer. If you don't have any of that, just start watching YouTube videos of soccer to learn how to play it, and you'll get it pretty easily because it's not a hard sport. There's just some rules you just got to get used to.
Yeah, there's levels to it.
Yeah.
You can, and I would challenge, any of the listeners, just watch one, and if it's in person, I guarantee you won't. If you walk out, you will have a changed. Like you'll be changed from that experience.
Yeah.
Not to get all mystical about it, but it's way more exciting in person. You get to see the actual movement, you get to see the hustle, you get to hear the crowds, and that's one of the other things I keep telling you and Justin about these, the chants and stuff. Dude, I don't know how it hasn't popped up in, college football at this
Well,
point.
college football has their chance during certain times. Or like one student will be like F you Bama and then everybody will join in. But I mean there's very specific chants for very specific things in soccer and it's
Oh, and
great.
nothing's
And
off
then like
limits. They'll go after
yeah.
you kids, they'll go after your
Yeah.
family. Like, oh my gosh, it's great.
Yeah, and they have smoke grenades of different colors. It's a fantastic atmosphere and like to me soccer has always been fourth or fifth and it's been growing in my heart because it's just a great time. Like if you think baseball's boring, I get it, but it's not it's more meant to slow down. Soccer is a mix between that slowdown and the fast pace of football. It's just like you're engaged the whole time. Really, everybody's pretty friendly to each other as long as you're wearing the same jersey. So just maybe sit higher up if you're wearing a different team's jersey.
Yeah.
Or go in with literally no sport affiliation. Just wear like an Adidas or a Nike hoodie that has no colors of the involved teams, and you'll be perfectly fine.
Just go default. Just go
Yeah.
default bystander.
Yeah. So basically, if you're looking for something to do while college football winds down with the championship coming up, the NFL playoffs are in full swing. So once that dies down, a lot of people don't switch over to another sport.
They just languish in nothing.
Yeah, and if you're a betting man, there's lots of bets to be had for soccer.
And they're tough. They
Yeah.
are tough. I don't think I've won a single single soccer bet, and I dabble.
I
No,
got
that's not
one.
true.
I got one from EFL Championship and two from Bundesliga. Just random soccer bets throughout the world, and I'm hitting, man.
A few weeks ago, they were playing. Africa was playing in the Afcon, and Matt and I were watching these friggin' African nations making bets on whether the underdog country would win. Oh,
I
such a
mean,
good
I'll put
time.
money on Mozambique, so I'm a little pissed at that, but
Yeah, yeah, dude.
uh, but it's a good time. Basically, what we're saying is go watch some soccer highlights, go play FIFA, and then when's the first match? Do you know, like beginning of February, mid February,
The 22nd. February
22nd?
22nd is MLS's back weekend.
So February 22nd, hop on over to Apple TV and maybe delete your Netflix because let's be honest, they've been kind of mid lately. Um, Even if you're not an Apple fan, I'm not an Apple fan. I'm a Google guy. I have Apple TV, and I'm gonna probably spend a little extra money on the soccer. So,
They're going to make it
uh,
more accessible this
oh
year
yeah,
as part of the feedback from the survey, you know. I we've talked about it. You know, I
yeah.
think they pulled soccer out of the like general public's eye, and that's to their detriment. So, I
And
think
because they don't have a ton of access to everybody, and it hasn't been that accessible for people to watch. Tony and I will spend our money, and we will watch MLS for you.
and we'll do it for you.
And at the detriment to our families, we will watch soccer and give you semi updates of storylines throughout the league for you to follow. So if you're looking for something to do over the next 8 months while we wait for football to come back, this would be a great way to do it. Justin and I are big NASCAR fans. We may start doing a show on NASCAR if you are into racing. There is the sports component of this podcast. So we are trying to branch out a little bit more and provide a little bit more fun positivity to different sports. And I think MLS is one. If you can't sit through a NASCAR race, I completely understand. But MLS is one that even if you treat it like NASCAR, you take a little nap on a Sunday afternoon, that's fine. But Wednesday nights, at least for us, it's on usually on Wednesday nights. That TV is going to be on. That app is going to be on. We're going to watch it for you. So follow us at Updog Sports Talk on all social media. X fans or Twitter fans, we for some reason cannot go live on Twitter. Apologies. We are trying to figure it out. So for now, get your updates on YouTube. Occasionally, I have enough free time to put this on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and all that. So just every now and then, click on wherever you get your podcasts and find us. And there may or may not be a new episode that week. So kind of roulette with that. But we will see you guys. Oh, special edition Tuesday night Updog Sports Talk with Justin. We have TNT podcast on talking college basketball. You don't want to miss it. Justin gets really excited this time of year about basketball. For me, I still have 2 months before I really get into it. So next week, Tuesday night, catch us there. We'll see you guys then.